Hey Steven, so here is lesson number 5. This one's going to be a lot simpler than the last lesson, or even I think the one before that. So you don't have to break it up into chunks or anything like that. This one is a little bit easier to digest. So we're going to talk about repeating licks today. So you hear all these classic rock bands doing these sweet licks. Basically, it's any lick that you just repeat over and over and over again, usually for like 4 times or 8 times, or you could go on as long as you wanted to. I think there's a clip on YouTube of Dwayne Allman playing a solo, and it's just the audio, and he's doing this. I'm not even quite sure what it is, but it's something like, and he does it for like 40 seconds or something like that, just ripping it, and it's awesome. So today it's all about repeating licks. We're going to stick in the key of A today, so we're going to make it even easier. Everything here in the key of A, and I'm going to walk you through a couple basic ones, and then we're going to start in on our licks. We've got 5 licks here, and then we've got a little classic rock riff, very recognizable riff here at the end of our lesson that deals with repeating licks. So that'll be cool. So let's get started. The very first one I'm going to show you, I'm not even going to write it down. It's not even on the paper here. And it's just a, I think they're called Trills. And they sound really cool. And I said everything is in the key of A today. That was actually in the key of E. But we can move to the key of A too. So we'll do both. We'll do E and A. And it's just nothing but hammer on and pull off. I'm not even using this hand. So I can hold my guitar up like this. You hear guys like Hendrix do this kind of thing. And it's just on and off. And I'm using my middle finger here. And again, I'm not doing any picking with this hand. I might pick it once to get it started, and then I just pull off, hammer on. That's for the key of E. If you want to do it in the key of A, do it on the G here. Another cool thing you can do when you do that is you can come up here behind the nut. So this white piece here is the nut. You can come up here and actually push on the string. So we're doing all this on the G. I'm going to grab the G there. Kind of simulates having like a whammy bar going up or down. You can also do that with chords too. If you play like an A chord, you do that kind of thing to make the pitch go up and down. Kind of cool. So that's just kind of our first little introduction. You can also do that in different places too. So if you have like your A minor pentatonic scale, and I'm using my first finger and my ring finger here. So index and ring finger. Again, not using this hand at all. Just back and forth. Maybe on the B string, and that's just 5 and 8. Do 5, 7, 5, 7 here, basically all the way up the scale. And again, all these you could come up here behind the nut. You see some guys do this thing too, where they'll grab the string back here and kind of pull it up and down. That one's a little bit trickier than doing behind the nut, but both are cool. So that's a good little introduction, and it's kind of a cool way to start solos or end solos, things like that. So let's get into lick number 1 here. That's kind of our introduction. A lot of these repeating licks deal with pull-offs, so that's when you play a note. I'm trying to get my picking hand here. Here, you play a note, and then you pull off your finger to another note. So here's lick number 1. We're in the key of A, and it's going to sound like this. Do it one more time here. And you'll notice I change my fingers up all the time. Try and keep it somewhat consistent here for you. So this is lick number 1. We're going 8, and we're pulling off to 5. That's on our high E string, so 8, 5 on our high E, and then we're playing 5 on our B string. And it sounds really cool when you get it up to speed. I want to make note of this too. A lot of times when I'm doing these repeating licks, I'm doing what's called a hybrid pick. So I'm using my pick and my fingers. Try and get my guitar up here so you can really see it. I'm using my middle finger here. So the pick is coming down. Actually, I'm picking with my finger first. So the middle finger here is playing everything on the E string. And then my pick is playing the B string. So I'm going. Now I'm using my pinky here. There's my ring finger. I have a little bit better stretch, I think, with my pinky. And then also at the very end of this lick, I wrote it one string higher too. This isn't necessarily lick number 2, but you can do this. So here's our first part. And then if you were just to shift everything up a string, or down a string, I guess down in pitch. So you're starting on the B string basically, and you're going like on the B string, 8, 5, and then 5 on G. That kind of thing. Yeah, so that's lick number 1. That's in the key of A. It sounds real cool if you're playing a little blues thing. Or like a country thing. So let's go on to lick number 2, and I kind of briefly played it there. Lick number 2 looks like this, still in the key of A. Gonna be very similar. We're on the B string here. This is a very, very popular riff. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling off from the 8th fret on the B string, pulling off to the 5th fret, and then I'm playing 7 on G. So I'm going. It's lick number 1, lick number 2. That's a cool one, and you can move it around all over the place. It sounds great. And you'll see, I don't have this one written down here, but let me show you. So you take the same thing here. This is all in like an A minor kind of thing. A minor pentatonic. If you were to shift this whole thing up and do like 13 to 10. Oh, 13, 10, and 12. It's the same concept. So I'm just kind of touching a few different ideas there. Let's go on to lick number 3. So this one is in the key of A. This time we're doing like an A major kind of thing, and we've got it broken up into a couple different places here. It's going to come out of this A chord shape here, and it's going to sound like this. Let's see here. Here we go. And that again, I'm using my middle finger and my pinky, or my pick and my middle finger. Doing this thing, so I'm on the B string and I'm pulling off from B, or pulling off on the B string from 5 to 2, and then I'm playing 2 on G, so I'm going. Got this kind of thing going on. Also, if we come way up here, this is lick number 4. It's the same lick, but you're in a different octave. So now we're on the high E string and we're pulling off from 12 to 9, and then on the B string we're ending on 10. So we're going. You could also do it way up here too. This one's not written down. This was lick number 3. This was lick number 4. And this one's not written down. We can call this the lick 4.5, but it's the exact same thing as this, but you're up here. And it's the same shape as this, you're just up in the octave, a higher octave. So now you're like 17 and 14 here. So you're going 17, 14, 14. That's on the B and G string. And this is all stuff for the key of A, and you can slide it around anywhere you want. So this is the key of A. For example, if you want to do this stuff in the key of E, you could come up here between like 12, 15, 12, 14, all this area up here, back to 12, 15 here on the B and E string. There's our lick number 1, lick number 2. You want to do lick number 3, it's going to be here on the 7th fret, like 7 and 12. That kind of stuff. But let's get into lick number 4. It's going to kind of branch off of this this lick we just did here in the key of A, but we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to do this thing. We're going to go. So all I'm doing is I'm going 5. Oh, hold on. Actually, it starts on 3. So it goes 3 on the B string, pull off to 2, play 2 on G, and then you do 5 on B, pull off to 2 on B, 2 on G. So it's... And I've got it written out here with a couple other chords, so it sounds really cool. The way lick number 5 is written sounds like this. It goes... something like that. It's kind of a cool little melody thing, cool little repeating riff. See, I think I'll do it 4 times, so... oh, twice. There we go. That's it. That's lick number 5. Real slow here. So all I'm doing is taking that same thing and I'm sliding it up like I'm playing an A chord. And then I'm playing a C, but I'm playing this bar kind of like how we did our inversions. I'm playing that first finger bar here. This is a C chord. I'm doing the same thing, so I'm going 6 on the B string, pull off to 5 on the B, and then 5 on G, and then that is 8 to 5, 5. And then I'm coming up here, this is like a D chord, and I'm going 8 to 7 on the B, that's 7 on G, and then I'm going 10, 7 on B, and 7 on G. It's all the same motion though. I'm just kind of sliding it around. So that's cool. Anywhere you've got these power chords here, you can do that. So say you wanted to do it in the key of B. Maybe you were playing like a Hank Done It This Way, you know, Don't Think Hank Done It This Way. B, E, B. So you've got your B power chord right here. You take your little triad. You can do that over the B chord. And then you have an E power chord way up here between 7 and 9. So here's your little triad. So if you're going to play Hank Done It That Way, I don't think Hank Done It This Way, and you want to do this little cool little repeating lick, you could go. You've also heard this kind of thing in Mama Tried, Merle Haggard. Kind of the intros. It's something like that. It's been a while since I played that. It's kind of the same chord shape though. You got D here. You're playing your triad. So yeah, so those are some cool little repeating licks. The trick is to kind of take it slow at first, and then just slowly start speeding it up as you go. With that being said, a lot of times people will get stuck playing them slow, and they don't know how to get it faster. And it's kind of a weird thing to say, but you almost have to force yourself to play it faster sometimes. So if you're stuck at like this speed here, going back to like let's do lick number 2 here. If you're stuck like at this speed, sometimes you have to just physically force yourself to play it faster. So you just have to get after it more. And you might surprise yourself. You might do it and it may work. You may totally fail and fall on your face, which is usually what I do when I try and speed something up. But at some point you have to force yourself to play it faster. Everybody always says that you have to take it slow and build up your endurance and things like that and your speed, which is definitely true. You have to start slow and kind of build a foundation. But it's very easy to get stuck in the rut of playing really slow. And if you want to build up that speed, sometimes you have to just force yourself to play it faster. So, with that being said, here is our classic rock kind of riff, and this comes from the Dire Straits song Sultan of Swing. So the end of Sultan of Swing does these really, really cool repeating licks at the end. Really popular, everybody knows the way it sounds. And here, I'll play it here for you. We're in the key of D now, so we're up here between like 12 and basically like 12, 10 kind of area. 12, 13, 12, 13 for our repeating riffs. Or for our pentatonic scale, our minor pentatonic. And our repeating riff is going to look like this. This is actually, we'll talk about it here. Let me play it here for you and then we'll break it down. So it goes like this. Does it again. Very, very, very popular little repeating lick riff. And I think when Mark Knopfler plays it, he throws in little variations and things like that. Like he might double up on a couple notes, so he may go like something like that. We're not going to worry about any of that. We're going to play it pretty straightforward. So if you know your lick number 1, that's basically what we're playing. But rather than playing it between 7 and 8, or sorry, 5 and 8, we're going to slide it up now between 13 and 10. So on my high E string, I'm going 10, pull, or 13, pull off to 10, and then I'm playing 10 on B. So high E, 13, 10, 10 on my B string. And I'm doing that 4 times. And then I'm going to do pretty much the exact same thing, but I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to lay my middle finger and I'm going to lay down on the 11th fret of the B string. So now I got this. And I can do that 4 times. And after I do that, I'm going to slide the whole thing up. Let's see. 2 frets. So now I'm between, I got 13 on my B string. And on my high E, I am on 12. And I'm going to pull off on my high E string from 15 to 12. And then play that 13 on B. So it's... And I'm going to do that one 8 times. And when I wrote it down here, I ran out of room. And I didn't want to have this lick on 2 different pages. So for this last lick right here, I have it written out once. But I have a times 8 there. So that's what that stands for. So you got this. 4 times, 4 times here, 8 times here. You can try and see how fast you can get it. But the trick is not necessarily playing it fast, but playing it clean. So, I know I said earlier you have to force yourself to play it faster sometimes. That's true. You do have to force yourself sometimes to get it faster and up to speed. But with that being said, it's also important to have it very clean. And having a very clean picking sound, clean technique, not necessarily clean tone. I've got a clean tone here, I'm just plugged straight into an amp. But just a clean picking technique and getting all those notes nice and clear so they all ring out. That will actually make it sound a lot faster than it really is, because every note will have some definition to it and will kind of bloom and blossom in its own little way. Not to sound weird, but when you play it nice and clean with a clean technique, every note pretty much has a voice of its own, so nothing is getting slurred together. And also I want to mention this too, when I'm doing these licks here, like let's just go back to lick number 1 here at the very beginning. This first finger is covering both of those strings here, and I got them pushed down the whole time. So you can practice with different muting ideas. If you don't mute at all, and what I mean by muting is not letting any of the strings ring out. So if you don't do any of that at all, you don't do any muting, you let everything ring out, it sounds like this. So that B string is ringing out through the whole thing. And that's fine, that sounds totally cool, and sometimes it really works. Other times you want it to be real, I think it's called staccato. So you want it to all really kind of stick and you don't want anything to ring out. So the key there is to mute either with your palm, or the way I play with my fingers too. I can let my fingers mute those strings out of that I'm playing that I don't want to ring out. And you can also just let the pressure up on your finger here too. So lots of cool little techniques and tricks you can do to get these things to sound nice and clean and sounding good. And that's it for the lesson today. So that's lesson number 5, repeating licks. As always, if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, just let me know. Text me, call me, send me a message on Facebook, doesn't matter. I will help you in any way you want. If this stuff is too easy, if it's too hard, you don't like the way I describe it or teach it or whatever, you don't like the way I write it out, let me know, and we will get you rocking however you want. So we will talk to you later.